Hi, I'm Natalie Maddix from House Gospel Choir, and you're listening to the House Culture Podcast.
House Culture.
Hi there, it's the managing editor of House Culture, Matt Rouse here, and I want to welcome you to this very special episode of the House Culture Podcast. To celebrate the launch of the House Gospel Choir's incredible debut album, Required, we caught up with creative director and founder of the collective, Natalie Maddix, to discuss how she combined her love of house music with her passion for gospel.
And that's why I like just raving, do you know what I mean? Like, you're not on stage, you're not front and center, you're just part of something. So a choir actually is a perfect place for me as a person, like with my personality type, to sing in my House Gospel Choir. It's like the perfect place for me. I'm raving, I'm singing, and I'm with my mates.
What those first gigs were like as a group.
So our first gig was Glastonbury. The way I saw it was like I was trying to create a DJ set that would keep someone moving from the first minute to the 60th minute. I just wanted people to feel happy and uplifted and joyful and just give them that feeling that house music gives me.
And what the ambitions are for their debut album.
There are millions of people that have never heard us. I want them to hear the album because it is great and it is an hour and 6 minutes of just joy. If anyone wants to listen from beginning to end, if you just need to be picked up out of a low place or a dark place, just whack the album on and just have a dance around your living room.
The House Gospel Choir are on a mission to bring joy into our lives through the healing power of house music. Sounds good to me. I hope you enjoy our chat. This is Natalie Maddox from the House Gospel Choir.
House Culture.
Hi Natalie, thanks for joining us on the House Culture Podcast.
It's a pleasure to be here, thank you.
You're here to talk about the House Gospel Choir and the release of your debut album, Required. But before we come on to that, as the founder of the collective, can you tell us about your relationship with house music before the formation of the choir?
I just love house music. I don't know, like that's my relationship with it as a starting point. I started raving probably a bit too young, maybe about 12, 13. And was just always inspired by what was coming through the walls of my big brother's bedroom. So yeah, that was a lot of drum and bass, a lot of house, and then when I started listening to music, I was really into garage and refined my tastes over time and just really got into the house as well. So yeah, I love it. And I, as a singer and a songwriter, I've been in a couple of garage crews, and to my shame, some of them I won't talk about any of those, fortunately, before YouTube. I've released a few bits. I've worked with a few different people as a soloist.
It's always an older sibling, I find, that is the bad influence.
Yeah.
What kind of era was that you were hearing this, absorbing this stuff through your walls?
I'm a proper 80s baby, so my brother was like proper into rave like in the early 90s, so I was still quite young, and fun fact, he had the largest collection of rave flyers in the UK. That's like, wow. So yeah, his thing is actually flyers, so I was always into the graphics of like, because early rave flyers are just sick.
We're talking on the same level here. For the reason that I'm sat here right now is my older brother who was into rave music and stuff, and my room was just, the rave cave plastered with all these flyers.
Mine too. My school books, actually, I used to use all the flyers to cover my school books. And my mum got called into the school once because there was this flyer. Oh, I can't remember what rave it was for, but it had all these ecstasy tablets on it. And that's the one I chose to cut up and stick to my RE book, funnily enough. Very subversive child. So yeah, got in trouble for that. But love flyers and all the imagery around like those early rave flyers and the artwork. It just kind of sticks in my head.
Absolutely. What was it like when those first experiences when you were going out and clubbing and things like that? Was it like you just wanted to get down and have fun, or was it a case of like, okay, no, as a singer or a songwriter, you wanted to get involved somehow at that age?
My family's from Jamaica, so we had a lot of like family parties with massive sound systems. So I just loved loud music and the vibrations from quite a young age, but it wasn't my music being played on those speakers. It was just music that I loved because I grew up hearing it. So when I finally got to start raving and like going out and hearing hearing jungle and hearing garage for myself with my friends. I just fell in love with it. And we didn't have money. You barely had money to get the bus there and the night bus back. So we weren't drinking or doing anything else, but it was literally about the music, and we were just able to rave till 6 a.m. somehow. I don't think I could do it now. Just always loved raving.
So in terms of the formation of the choir, and how did these two kind of worlds then collide for you? Where was that? On the surface, they can be seen to be completely different in terms of one being, a den of inequity, in terms of a club, lots of naughty things happen in there, and a church which can be the purest of the pure. However, the singular factor, I suppose, is the feeling of togetherness and the singing, and everyone's equals. How did those worlds collide for you?
Yeah, I mean, the other element of my family is that they're quite religious in part. So I grew up having to go to Sunday school every Sunday. I say having to go. I enjoyed Sunday school, mainly for the biscuits, but I definitely, and the stories and the biscuits and the squash. But I loved singing at Sunday school. I loved being around the community and singing hymns. Like we went to Anglican church, and I was a member of a Pentecostal church as well. So it was like quite different sounds, but just the feeling of community in those spaces, I've just always had access to that from a really early age. So when I started raving, it's essentially the same thing, I suppose. Like I said, when I first started raving, for me, the clubs weren't dens of iniquity at that point. I suppose the lighting kind of made you feel like you'd kind of gone into like some subterranean world. But yeah, it just is a really pure feeling, and just being around that many people that were all into the same tune. And everyone singing along and just moving together. For me, it's like the same experience and vibe.
And so, when you were going to church and things like that, were you participating in all of the singing and everything like that? Were you trying to get yourself front and center? And
no, definitely not. I was a really shy child. I was just more like there to soak up the vibes. And that's why I like just raving. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not on stage, you're not front and center, you're just part of something. So a choir actually is a perfect place for me as a person, like with my personality type, to sing. I definitely tried doing like the solo thing and tried being a singer on my own terms, but I just didn't enjoy it. I found it really lonely and isolating. But I love being a soprano in my house gospel choir. It's like the perfect place for me. I'm raving, I'm singing, and I'm with my mates. It's like nothing better.
So you're soprano. So what exactly, for someone who doesn't know what that might be, can you just take us through what that kind of role is in the choir?
So the basics of any harmony structure is a 3-part harmony. So you've got your tenors, who are like you think of it like a sandwich. Like the tenors are the piece of bread on the bottom, they're the base. They like keep everything together. In the middle, you have the melody, which is generally the alto, and they're the filling of the sandwich. And then on top, you have the sopranos, who are the top slice of bread, I suppose. And we're the ones that sing up in the heavens, like always singing the high notes. Okay. Trying to be Mariah or someone.
Tasty musical sandwich.
There you go, the musical sandwich, yeah. I hope that is for anyone that doesn't know how to create a harmony. That's it. Altos, tenor, soprano, and have a bite.
And in terms of, you were one of the founding members of the House Gospel Choir. What was the light bulb moment where it's like, actually, I want to put this together and do something with house music?
Do you know what? Because I just loved music, I found a way to work in music. I started off kind of doing event management, and then I was tour managing. But for some reason, the more I worked in music, the less I was enjoying music, because I was working on a gig like 4 nights a week. On the other 3 nights, I was not going out just for the sake of it with my mates. So I got to release a single with a project called Warm Days, and there was a remix by At Jazz that did really well in South Africa. And I got to do a little mini tour in 2011. And that was brilliant to kind of go back to the roots of what it is I love doing, which is singing and writing, and just getting the response from people. And one night we performed at a club called House 22 in Pretoria. And it's in an old township. So it's like old houses that have like they've taken the roof off. So it's like an open air just party, but it feels like someone's house. And it was number 22 in this particular township, but it's a fantastic club. If anyone has been or, gets a chance to go, it's a place to hear some real pure, deep and soulful house. And literally, I was there with one of my best mates at the time, and I just looked out and I was like, do you know what? This is what I've been missing in London. Like, I've been working so much. I haven't had an opportunity just to be with people and share this space. And to me, for some reason, everybody sounded like they were singing in tune. And it just felt really, really soulful and uplifting. And I just said to my mate, you know, when I go back to London, I want to do this just once a week.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we don't have time to rave, like let's get together in a room and sing some house tunes, really loud, in harmony. Like let's make it sound good. And that was it.
So the idea happens, and then obviously you've got friends, I'd imagine, already from the church environment that are all singers, and
not just church, because I'd been like doing music for like maybe about 10-12 years at that point. And working in music, so I got to know a lot of singers, and most of my friends were musical in some way. So I just shouted a few of them.
And what was their kind of reaction? Was it like just I'm in, this sounds amazing, or was it a bit like, oh, I'm not sure if this will work, or what?
No, do you know what, if I'm honest, because I like parties so much, I throw really good house parties. That's my one claim to fame. So I think if I say to someone, look, I'm going to throw a really cool, create a nice space for us to come and enjoy ourselves, would you come? That most people will say yes. If you've been to one of my parties, you will know what I'm talking about. Got a really small studio flat, but a couple of times a year it was being converted into like a really good rave. My mates they were on it, and there was 12 of us that first session. And then after that, they just, a few people were like, oh, can I bring my mate? Or I know this girl from where I work, she'd be wicked at this. And it just grew from there. So within like maybe 3 weeks, we had about 30 members.
Wow.
And it just kept growing. And at the same time, like just as I was starting, I heard that Glastonbury were looking for a gospel choir for a slot on the Sunday of that year. So it's 2014. And a mate of mine, like a director at one of the companies I work for, said, oh, do you know a choir? Can you recommend someone? I was like, yeah, do you know what? I do know a choir actually. But they sing house music. Is that all right? And he was like, I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. Yeah, let's book it. And we hadn't had a rehearsal yet. So it's really bad. Now I think about it, it's like quite risky. So we essentially had like 12 weeks to pull this show together, which was a 60-minute show. Yeah. And we've been going ever since. Like, wow. It's pretty much. So our first gig was Glastonbury.
Wow. Start high. How can you top that?
Yeah.
I mean, so putting that show together between the members of the band, I'd imagine, house music covers quite a breadth of genres sometimes, or even just dance music. Was there a lot of competing tastes within the choir at that stage in terms of like, actually I lean towards more like, up tempo, high energy, like disco, or I'm more into like garage? How do you kind of navigate all of that?
The main prerequisite for covering a track, it's like the way I saw it was like I was trying to create a DJ set that would keep someone moving from the first minute to the 60th minute, like till we're cut off. And by the end of that 60 minutes, I just wanted people to feel happy and uplifted and joyful, and just give them that feeling that house music gives me. So I went through like all my favorite records and just chose essentially which ones I wanted to do versions of. And so we started with Barbara Tucker, Beautiful People, and then moved on to, there's a tune by Quentin Harris called Traveling. No, 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 no. Wicked tune. Anyway, so I had about 40 songs that I really liked, and over the weeks we just tried them. I pulled in my mate who's a DJ, his name is Funk Butcher. We literally used to have to sample, like find a break or like the intro, like those lovely, the DJ bit, where there's no vocal, and just sample that and play chords around it to create the backing track. So we didn't have any money, like we didn't have a studio or anything like that. So the sound was pretty raggo. It was like it was a bit rough, but when you put like sweet harmonies on top, we got away with quite a lot. Yeah. And then one of the girls was really adamant that we include some gospel songs and make them more house versions. So we looked at some songs by Kirk Franklin. But so it's like an exchange. It's like we're making house tunes more gospel-y and gospel tunes more house. Yeah. And the main deciding factor is just like, will this inspire people? Whether we don't have to believe in the same things. You don't have to go to church. You don't have to, I don't know, you just have to be interested in having the conversation about being uplifted. Yeah. And that's how we made those decisions.
And that feeling of togetherness, it's what it's all about. Yeah. Totally. So what was the reaction like at Glastonbury after that first gig? Did it land, do you think?
Yes. Yeah. We knew, do you know what I knew from that first rehearsal? like doing Barbara Tucker's Beautiful People and just being able to pull those harmonies and those, because they're in there. They're, you know, like Barbara Tucker started off singing in church, so, and she's a woman with faith. So the way she sings is gospel. The way she chooses her harmonies is gospel. So it was just like taking all of that brilliant source and kind of just making it live. So the thing was always like trying to make people in the audience feel how we felt in that room, which was just good.
So that was so the Glastonbury, what did you say, it was 2014?
2014, yeah.
What was the kind of road travelled after that then? Was it like loads of gigs and just up and down the country, festival appearances?
We got our second gig off the strength of saying we booked for Glastonbury. Will you book us for Latitude? And they were like, oh, you're doing Glastonbury. So they booked us for Latitude. And that was wicked. We got to open the waterfront stage that summer at Latitude. And then it was just like, no, let's just get back to what we were doing. So every Monday, we were in this little studio space in Hackney, very small. And then the numbers just kept growing. More and more people wanted to join. I think at one point we had like 45 people in this room that was meant to have maybe 15.
Oh my God.
So if you were walking along Hackney Mare Street on a Monday in 2014, chances are you would have heard us at some point. And then we were really fortunate. We were able to move into the Rich Mix in Bethnal Green, just at the top of Shoreditch. And yeah, we've been based there ever since. It's been our home since then.
Yeah.
So the core of what we do is us getting in the room and having a good time with each other. And then the premise is that we essentially share the best of that with audiences that want to feel the same way we do.
Incredible. And obviously the album was released this year. What has been the journey towards that? I mean, it's got some amazing collaborations on it with people like Todd Terry, Wookie, Toddler T, DJ Spen. I mean, one, was it exciting to be doing an album anyway? And two, I suppose, working and collaborating with genuine house music icons. How did that feel? And was that frightening in any way, or was it just, you know, empowering in terms of what you were doing?
Both. Like constantly scared and empowered, or in any moment, like just oscillating between the two. We've been doing these cover versions in our sets, and then slowly I'd started to write some original stuff as well, and that we were working into the set. And it was just a bit like, it would be great for people to take a bit of this show away with them and experience it in their own time. So that was literally, it's a really pure idea for creating a record. Being signed to a label and doing it all that way has been incredible. Ireland have been great. It's a lot of hard work though, mate. Like, it's not a bed of roses, I will tell you that. And you know, part of it has been a challenge, but every time we got to get together with one of those producers who we admire and like just respect so much. Like, we met Spen at Southport Weekender, and we just kind of had a chat with his manager, and within a week he was still in London. So he came and taught the choir, what song was it? I can't remember, Praising His Name. With Ad Nesby and someone else. Wicked tune. And so like you go from like raving to this song at Southport Weekender to the actual producer being in your session with 100 people teaching us the correct words. And it was just, so the relationships that we formed with these producers and DJs is very genuine. And I think there's like a real exchange and respect for what they do, because I think they can appreciate how much we love their music, and that we're just trying to do them, just kind of do it at honor in that sense, in the same way that a DJ will play their record in their set. If this is our version of doing that, it works really well.
Yeah, and you know, you mentioned at the top of the interview as well about how you just went through your record collection, and you mentioned the covers and reworks and interpretations that are actually on the album as well. You know, how do you go about picking those that are going to feature on the album? You know, was it a very democratic process in terms of the members of the group, or is it just a feeling in terms of, I love this one so much, it always goes down well, or how did you approach that?
So we in our repertoire, there's probably about 100 cover versions or cover songs that we do, but we chose the ones that have had the best response during the live shows and at festivals, and the ones that make us feel the happiest to sing. And like the one word that just kept returning was just joy. I just want to feel joy when I hear this. So we demoed like our top 20 songs, and like our favorite 20, and just went from there really. And whichever one's stuck, because not every song works. That's the other thing. There might be a song we absolutely love. You try to get a choir to sing it, it's just like, oh, shut up. All of you just shut up. Like, there's no need for this. The song is perfect. Doesn't need all of you lot like making a racket over the top of it. So it was that as well, like hearing something and knowing that, we like just playing this and dancing to it is enough. There's nothing to add here. Our requiring is not required, but it's democratic in the sense that if everybody's eyes light up in the room and everybody's moving to it, that's the answer. You know, it's like a laboratory in that way.
And the I mean, I have seen it on YouTube as well, but it's not on the album. Your version of "Stand on the Word" is like, I mean, I just love that track anyway. So
right?
yeah, it's beautiful and goosebumps every time. So hearing your version of it, I was like, I'm so happy you guys have actually tackled it. It's incredible.
One of my favorites.
It's just stunning. Are there any other tracks out there that have real meaning, or that, you know, are on a shelf at the moment in terms of like, I want to approach that one day, but the timing's got to be right? Or is it just a case of, I'm just happy to try anything?
Yeah, there's definitely some on the shelf.
You're not going to tell me though, are you?
Like, I don't. You want a surprise, isn't it?
Yeah.
If we're blessed enough to do another project, then hopefully we'll get to record those. But the one thing, because of lockdown, we started doing those a cappella videos, or using this as an app called a cappella. So we'd rehearse it on Zoom and learn all the parts together on mute, because you can't, the latency is so bad. You can't sing together on Zoom at all. And then we'd go away and record our parts separately, and then our DJ and producer Harrison, he puts them together and mixes it and just kind of gets the right blend. So luckily, like if you go through the required videos, there's songs that aren't on the album, but they were either doing our set or have always wanted to do, like Joe Smooth, Promised Land, Don't Stop Moving. There's loads in there. So hopefully one day we'll be able to record those formally. But for now, the required videos are, you know, keeping people going. They've certainly kept us going.
Yeah, I mean, during these kind of like lockdown times, and obviously it's all about positivity and lifting spirits in terms of being a gospel choir, you know, and you guys have been just wrestling with the technology to still push that out there, which is fantastic. What else can you kind of tell us about those required sessions? Is it people, just anyone gets involved, or, you know, how do they kind of work?
So as much as I'm saying we have 150 members, the core choir like that go out and perform and record on the album is about 20. And then every year we choose about 20 people, 25 people to train and develop to be part of that group as well. And so we've got like quite a wide family. So we've never been able to get really a stage big enough to have 35 people on it. So, but in the required videos, we were able to put more and more people and rotate the members every week. And what we've been doing, because we were hoping to get back to like doing our weekly sessions again, which we can't do still. So we've been running our Monday night sessions on we have like an Instagram live session that we do, and we invite, and more people got involved. So we've got members in America, Canada, other parts of Europe.
Wow.
They're all, and like our regular members in London that are all tuned into that. And we teach a song. There's 4 or 5 people in my house. I've made my house into a bit of a studio, and every Monday we go live and do that. And from that, actually, I've met like maybe 25 more singers that we started to put into those weekly videos. So it's helped us to meet new vocalists from other parts of the world that love what we do, and we love the sound of their voices. So yeah, we're still working, still growing, and that's great.
It's going to be one of my next questions, like, you know, are you discovering new talent out there in the world and kind of integrating them into what you're doing now? It's a great tool, and to be able to do that, I suppose.
Yeah, it really is. And the other thing, I think we've been able to connect with the original artists who sang the songs. Like Crystal Waters did Gypsy Woman with us, Barbara Tucker did Beautiful People. We're working on a few others. Danae did I with us. And yeah, there's some more fun ones coming up as well. So it's been an amazing way to just really connect and say thank you in a way to those, because I think, you know, DJs and producers get to tour and travel and do the gigs. And I think a lot of the singers, I would not always say get left behind. There's obviously stories about the deals that are made to bring these records to life and how they don't generally favor the vocalist or the songwriter. And I think through doing these required videos, we've had an opportunity to just kind of shine a light back on them, as well as the producer and the DJ that has done very well from the record. And that's really special to me.
Yeah.
Really, really special to me.
Yeah, to pay respect to these guys that,
Real respect.
Yeah. And like you say, sometimes, it might have been a guest vocalist who just did a studio session and got a one-off fee, or it might have been someone that was even sampled from a record back in the day,
Yeah, a lot of stories going around about how that stuff goes down. I've actually experienced some of it myself. So it is what it is. Yeah. So it's been really important for me to connect with the vocalists and the original songwriters. And we're always giving credit to those people that maybe are a bit behind the scenes, or whose voices and faces you've never known their names maybe.
Yeah, it's awesome. You mentioned some names there already. Is there anyone out there that you kind of haven't worked with yet that you would really be like, wow, this would just be the pinnacle?
Yes. Yes, certainly. Do you know, I won't say who, because it's just like, the list is so long, and we have so many great producers and DJs in our scene and songwriters. So, but one person I really wanted to work with, and I was so sad that we couldn't find a way to connect with him in time, was Louis Vega. And so that didn't happen. I was like, cool, do you know what, next project, it will happen, something will happen in the future, and I will meet Louis, or Mr. Vega, depending on what day it is. And I just wanted to go to New York in January, so I did. I just, like, before all this pandemic stuff hit, I got to take a little trip, and ended up in a rehearsal session through like a friend of a friend that I'd been introduced to, and it was for his Elements of Life show that he was bringing to London to do at the South Bank at the end of January. So I was like, like, you should have a live choir with you. Like, this would be just, we should do that. So we did. And we got to perform with Louis and the Elements of Life in January when I got back from New York. And it's just like, all these incredible things have happened that I feel very lucky and fortunate that we've been able to create these moments with these incredible artists. So I feel, who's going to stop me from doing anything else? Like, what else can we do? What's the next challenge? And I think that's a great way to look at life. Like, there's no harm in sitting at home and dreaming about what you want to make and what you want to see in the world. And if it's not there yet, just get out and do it, man. Like, why not?
Absolutely. It's inspiring to hear that. Like you say, if you want to create something, just get out there and do it. Just try it.
Yeah.
It's kind of why I'm sat here now doing a podcast. Yes. It's crazy.
Exactly.
I mean, so what is next for? Obviously, this is, it's unprecedented times. We're all in lockdown in a sense. Live music and gigs and things are off the agenda. Ignoring all of that, ideally, kind of, what's the next path for the House Gospel Choir? What do you want to do and achieve, like, in the next few years? Another album, a tour, festivals. What's on the list?
Well, there are millions of people that have never heard us or never heard of us. So, we've got to reach them somehow. We want them to hear the album as a starting point, because it is great, and it is an hour and 6 minutes of just joy. If anyone wants to listen from beginning to end, if you just need to be picked up out of, maybe like a low place or a dark place, just whack the album on and just have a dance around your living room. So we just want more people to experience that in the first instance. But House Gospel Choir was designed as a live experience. So not being able to tour this year was really hard, and so many festivals and bookings we had just went in the bin, obviously. But luckily we get to do a Christmas time performance at Jazz Cafe, so keeping it small, but we get to do a performance, and that's going to be, I think, Sunday the 20th.
Amazing.
And it's two shows, so we're doing like a matinee and an evening performance. And then hopefully, I need to check the deets with management, but I think we're going to have a bit of a regional tour next year, so we get out back into the UK where we love to be, and get to just keep sharing all this good news and this good music. So yeah, details for that coming soon.
Yeah, it's a fantastic album. You guys were awesome on Strictly the other week as well.
Oh, sick! You saw that? Just throw that in there. Yeah, like why not? Yeah, man, I can't believe everything we've done this year. Like it really did feel like we weren't going to be able to do anything, but just a bit of faith and a lot of hard work to keep us all together. And so Strictly was an experience. Those dances are bloody good, They're really, really good.
House culture.
I hope you enjoyed that one, guys, and make sure you head over to your preferred music player to check out the House Gospel Choir's hugely uplifting album Required. As you heard in our chat, there are some familiar favourites that have been reinterpreted into a gospel style, alongside some future classics that have been produced by some house music legends. Speaking of legends, if you haven't done so already, please make sure you subscribe to this, the House Culture Podcast, so you don't miss out on any of our sit-downs with iconic characters from the scene. We've already featured Fatboy Slim himself, Norman Cook, as well as Danny Rampling, Terry Farley, Smoking Joe, Tall Paul. We have some equally huge guests coming up. I promise that you won't be disappointed. Also be sure to check out our Instagram feed at HouseCultureNet, where you can stay connected to other house music lovers from across the world. That's it for this one. Thanks for listening. Stay safe. I'll see you next time.
House culture.